This is day 5 of the February 92 7-day retreat at Springwater. Here are a few questions that I wrote down. What you mentioned yesterday about getting used to things sort of struck something within. Can we talk some more about it, what it means to get used to something, to everything? And there was the leftover question from yesterday. Is there such a thing as security? What is security? My mind is quieter now, not so many thoughts all the time. And when they become somewhat sticky or I get involved in them, mostly they are still the sounds of the wind and the birds. I don't feel it matters so much anymore that there are thoughts. It doesn't even matter how I am doing, whether well or not. This morning when I woke up, the first thought was, oh, that same old sitting again. And 3 more days of it. Why do I do it, and why do I plan to go to more retreats? With this thought, a panic struck that if I won't sit anymore, go to retreats, the last possibility in my life of getting into some depth and intimacy will be lost forever. I don't see where my daily work is fundamentally or essentially connected to what is happening in the world. I would like to do something that is and feel a deep commitment to that, but I have not found it. I still feel that I should do more to help take care of what needs to be done in this world with people, environment, ecology, and so forth. On the other hand, in the past I have been involved in political and social movements and don't want to go back into that. What is right action? There is the question about what does it mean in depth? Can we go into depth? What it means to get used to things, to people, to the trees. The question of what is security? Is there such a thing? And if so, what is it? Can we look at that in depth? The question of waking up to the thought, the same old thing again, the same old sitting. 3 more days, more retreats I've planned. Why do I do this? The boredom of that, the fatigue of it. And maybe at that moment, the utter uselessness, imagined or thought about uselessness of it. And then with that thought, the panic striking. If if I don't do that anymore, I'll lose that depth of living, that intimacy which is there at times or has been there at times in being quiet with myself. And then the question, what is right work? I feel deeply that in my work I want to be connected in essence, essentially with what is going on in this world, with people, the environment, ecology. Doing the right action, which I don't feel anymore as political or social action. But what is that? So which shall we pick of these four? Maybe since yesterday we ended up with this question of what is security. Somebody had asked, are you seeking security in new modes here? Conservation or frugality, cleanliness. Well, what is secure? What gives us security? Is there such a thing? We have to, if we question, we cannot start out with saying, yes, there is, or I believe there can be, or I'm sure there isn't. But to leave it all open, not know, and just question, what do we feel is security? As we are right now. Someone said, I feel a real security here, in this place. I don't feel threatened by you or the people or whatever's going on here. On the contrary, I feel there's some protection. Also walking up the hill into the woods, watching the deer. I feel protection, I think, is what the word was, but it is very similar. I feel safe, secure. I'm not afraid of anything that will happen to me, untoward, harmful, from anyone here. I don't know anybody. First, I don't even know anybody here. And yet, maybe because I don't know anybody here, I don't feel any fear of anyone. I feel that we are connected in our unknown ways. Do we have a remembered security when we were little? Some of us have, some of us don't. Feeling that at home we were protected, we were secure. I remember our son, we lived right across the school. He didn't want to go to school. He cried half a day of the first day of kindergarten, the first half day of kindergarten. Cried, and of course I stuck around and looked through the window until the teacher told me in no uncertain terms to leave. I wasn't ever going to stop crying if I stayed around. And then when the doors opened, he was the first one running out. And he did that 6 years he went to school in that building, in the elementary school. Every day the doors opened and he ran home. I'd gone down and opened the door if I had something to do. I was in the kitchen or wherever I was, at the door, or first opening the door, Mom! first word, every time. And then he'd go to the bathroom. He never went to school in the bathroom. I mean, went in to the bathroom in school. Did that at home. Well, is it because it felt safe there or something? And we may not have felt safe at home. Maybe already as little children building up fantasies of magic companions happens so often. Children dialogue with their magic companions. The imagination can provide the protection that one may not get in reality, and imagination being so potentially so real that it is a substitute, becomes a real substitute for physical security not had in the home. One has it in the imagination. A place, a companion who protects one, with whom one is safe and can talk, and who listens to one. Is that what is still going on for us now? Either the remembrance of something safe when we were home with mother, father, or the imagined scenario in which I will and can be safe, or am, in which I am safe. Sort of retreating into that, or expanding it. I don't feel secure now because of 1,000 things I could list. I'm not talking personally, I'm talking for all of us. My job isn't secure. Income isn't secure. My house isn't secure because there's a mortgage on. Is my relationship secure? I'm not sure it is. Right now it may be. But if I don't provide or don't do what he or she wants, maybe he or she will turn to someone else. Maybe the relationship is becoming jaded. Like waking up in the morning, oh, not him again or her again. A day together. What really is secure in our daily life? Secure in the sense of that it can be depended upon to be like this tomorrow and for as long as I live. Because this is what we demand in our imagination from a secure life. A dependability of things, people, conditions being safe. Not moments of experience safety, but a reliability, a dependency into my old age and death. Someone to take care of me when I die. I knew a woman, we talked together a lot. Years ago, she was very conscientiously visiting her ailing mother daily or weekly, and an ailing brother. Really putting a lot into this, and then often saying in a somewhat depressed way, I don't think anybody will do that for me, but I hope maybe if I do it, then someone will also do this for me, but I'm not sure it'll happen. And she was reporting when she would come into the nursing home, all the old people there on the ward knew her. All their hands, or most of them stretched out, wanted to hold on to her. Here was somebody who came all the time to visit her mother. Most of them had nobody to visit. And she felt it was just heart-wrenching to pull herself away from all these hands, from beds, chairs, wheelchairs. Is there such a thing as security, was the question. We can imagine it and then act on our imagination. Build, maybe if we feel that money will make us secure in our old age. Work for it, hard, save it, not spend it all. If we spend it all, we won't have it in our old age. We won't even have it next year. Having a bank account, does it make us feel secure? Not with the bank collapses that have been happening. Seen on television, people just losing their this or that, and not in all banks, in certain banks. Well, maybe one can find a safe bank. Right now, safe. Does that make for a feeling of security? Having the money later to spend on what? Maybe traveling. Some people do that in their old age and have a good time of it. Maybe unless something happens with the whole financial system of a country, and I don't know how safe anything is these days, the way deficits go and so forth. Maybe one can establish that little bit of security by working hard and not spending, and not getting a wife or husband who does the spending for one. Or children who, it used to be children supported the parents, now very often parents have to keep supporting the children. Many of my friends report that. Still at the age of 30, needing, and we know it ourselves, needing to subsidize. Is that what we mean by security, having some money laid away, however much one can imagine one will need? Does that give a feeling of security? The husband, the wife, the friend. How safe is relationship to last into the next year? I don't want to start listing all the unsafe things, ozone holes included. They're getting bigger, it's getting bigger. Wars, the Cold War's gone, and all the nationalities springing up with all the tension erupting. Some unclaimed nuclear arsenals floating around, and the scientists to go with it. Do we need to retreat to some imaginary safety to feel secure? Or can we question the whole need for feeling secure? Or is that too dangerous territory to question whether we can either get security in any of the things listed or even need it? Not say we throw it out, we don't need it, but question it. Go into it, think about it, talk about it with each other, examine it. What are we trying to make secure? Me, myself, my family. Is that at this moment, or at any moment of thinking about it, real or an idea? I've got to make myself secure, or find some security. Like what we did yesterday, I don't remember what topic it was. Oh, happiness. We realized, didn't we, that the happiness we wanted was something imagined. Is it the same with security? Not feeling safe and secure now because there isn't enough money, there isn't quite the reliability in the relationship. Or it may change. My work, I don't know whether I'll have it tomorrow. I don't even know whether I can still stand it tomorrow. To go back to the same thing. I talked once to an eye doctor who opened his heart to me. It was like a dam bursting. He said, I don't want to look at any more eyes all day long. And our dentist, when we went to him, he should have paid me. He always scheduled a whole hour for cleaning teeth, which he didn't do very much anymore, because he talked and his heart was full of boredom, disgust with his job, sick and tired of listening to people, looking into their mouths. And here you think, a dentist has it made. Had a fine house, bought another house. For 2 years he couldn't sell his house, so he owned 2 houses and was in no financial difficulty over it. And the eye doctor too. You see, we think a doctor and the prestige, he's arrived someplace. No parent of an eye doctor would think my son hasn't arrived. Okay. The parent can tell the friends, my son is an eye doctor. That's a better word. It's a Latin word which I will not venture into. What I'm saying is that this alienation, or what did Sartre call it? There was a beautiful word for it. Ennui or nausea at how we're living, our daily thing, which was expressed by somebody just waking up and the first thought, more sitting, more eyes, more teeth, more sawing and woodwork. Woodworkers also get that way. Certainly mothers get that way with their children. First one wants them, one thinks this is the fulfillment of my life, to have children. Bear them, give birth to them. Have them around, say mom when they come into the door. But then comes a time where all one wants is to get out of the house. I don't mean all the time. Not many mothers abandon their children. But I used to, before we had ours, I used to hear our friends who already had children talk in front of their children. These kids, I could kill them. And we could say, I don't mean it that way, but the child hears that. And maybe doesn't think it's so funny. So, right now, And of course, the money goes, things get more expensive, or the income isn't quite, the interest is down, the checks are lower. Right now I don't feel secure, but in the future I will have something. I'll have some extra income, or a new job, new eyes to look at. Maybe if I wasn't an eye doctor, I'll become one. Because it seems to be a more secure and elevated job, has some social standing, more meaningful. In the future, I'll imagine it. And I can always go into that imagination of the security I will have someday and not have to feel out and be in touch with whatever ails me now. To really probe the present insecurity deeply. Not just blame it or explain it, find the cause for it, but go to the very depth of what it is, this feeling of insecurity, of needing something to maintain the sense of me, which I want to continue. It's one of our deepest cravings, and so deeply lodged that we don't question it. Of course we're going to continue. And I want to continue safely, or into a safer future, more secure. When my dreams come true, my education comes to bear fruit, I find the right mate, make more money. Can we, in the setting of a safe place, a safe 7 days, 3 days, 4 days, allow these feelings of insecurity to unfold, to be looked at, to be felt, and to be questioned, not to be rationalized? That's human nature. The moment we say it's human nature, we cease looking. We start ideating and getting feedback from a nice concept. I don't want to be fed by concepts. I want to be in touch with and go all the way into this feeling of insecurity. Where does it start? From where does it issue? Often when we are suddenly faced with death of a loved one, or our own being sick, which has a very questionable outcome, maybe final, terminal, lethal, we begin to question this assumption of continuing forever. It begins to shake and crack. But do we have to wait for that? Someone to say you've got cancer or AIDS? To question this deep assumption of continuing forever and the deep craving to continue as I imagine myself to be, or as I want to be in my imagination. And the security, the false security derived from that, because what we imagine is not what is actually happening from moment to moment. We were discussing this yesterday in a group last evening. It was not the security, it was this work thing. Wanting some work to which I can feel a deep commitment because it is connected with everything, with people, with things, with the nature. And I don't have this work right now, but I've been trying to find it, and I'm not giving up to find it. I haven't found it, but the mind is open to look and maybe to come upon something. That work which will bring an essential a commitment, a connectedness, a meaningfulness to life on earth. Myself meaningfully participating in that. That's what I would like to happen. It hasn't happened, but I'm not giving up. I'm looking, I'm open. The person didn't say, I want this in order to feel secure. It wasn't said in that way. Rather in terms of meaning. And wanted to be committed to something really meaningful in one's work. We're coming to, I remember this because it's the same root. What is the disconnectedness that brings the feeling of insecurity or meaninglessness in our life, alone and together? Can we probe into that? Because that may be the crux of the matter. Feeling disconnected as we do when we think and feel ourselves to be a separate me. Separate in its needs, separate in its wants, separate in its fears, in its sufferings, in its pleasures and joys. When we feel ourselves separate, then we crave connectedness and meaning and security in the future, in our imagination. Because it isn't here. What's here is the sense of disconnectedness and the insecurity and fear and meaninglessness and alienation that goes with it. One can understand that quite clearly intellectually, can't one? Disconnected from the wholeness and aliveness of life. There's fear. There is apartheid with its cravings and its need for imagination to provide what isn't, what doesn't seem to be there. The meaning, the security, the connectedness in the future, sometime, later, tomorrow maybe. But if it isn't found now, how can it be found tomorrow? And by now I mean in this instant of nowness, not in the imagined time of the future. The imagined future cannot bring security or connectedness in a real way. It can only be an imagination of it, which is not secure, which lacks life. It's jaded and stale. Even though at times when it's very vivid, it can infuse some highs if I think how connected I really am, or vowing every day that I am already the whole. Reciting. We used to do that. Recite every day, once or twice, that we're already Buddha. From the beginning. And one can put one's faith into that belief, into that recitation and imagination, that as I am now, I am whole and complete and perfect, have everything that I need, and live with that imagination and not see the wanting or the underlying insecurity disconnectedness, which needs idea to establish a connection. To most people who spend time with themselves, quietly, looking, listening, wondering. And to people who don't do that, may not spend any quiet time. It does happen at times that there is no feeling of disconnectedness. There's no feeling of separation or division. That everything is just as it is, and as it is, it lacks nothing. And oneself not apart from that, viewing it or judging it, but part of this whole thing. Not as somebody, just as an energetic aliveness, which has color, sound, freshness, and amazingly so. It's not been expected or sought. It had never been imagined. It is not imaginable. But when it happens, it's real. And when we talk about this, when people tell me, or from my own questioning it, when the question comes up, is there any fear in that? Is there any feeling of insecurity? The answer is immediately no. There's no reflecting upon it. In that state, there is no feeling of insecurity or fear. Because the imagination is in abeyance. It doesn't need to project something that is really here. Everything as it is, seen, felt, heard, touched, without anything in between. Our desires, our fears, our imagined goals, and so forth. It's just here. And when imagination is not called upon, it is not needed, it doesn't need to project stuff. It also doesn't project insecurity or continuation. All our craving for continuity is only possible because we can imagine it. I'm not sure that these deer who are jumping around so gracefully or sometimes looking you right in the eye, whether they dream of continuing the next moment. But if you move too much, they're off. Not in order to continue, but they're off, they're running, jumping. Or maybe looking from behind a tree. There's some sensing of danger, there's some program there that a human being approaching may be dangerous, and human beings approaching deer most of the time are very dangerous. That's gone into the genetics of it probably already. Obviously, else they wouldn't run away. People have reported when they wander about in Tibet when it was still wander-aboutable, coming, that animals were never running away. They were just there. I think on somebody told me on Galapagos Islands too, where there's no allowing any catching or shooting except with a camera. Animals don't run away. So that has been learned and programmed. And I don't think there's a vivid imagination that the deer has. We don't know. But they live so much more, so lightly in their movements. We walk so heavily so often, encumbered by our imagination of that we may not continue, or not continue in a way we would like to continue. And by imagining this, all of this, we're not here. Do we see that? And at those moments or times when we are here, there's just what's here. I don't even want to say there's awareness. It becomes complicated. It's just everything is here the way it is. And no feeling of being separate from it. No concern in thoughts about me and my future. Then that whole circuit of imagination is quiet, is in abeyance. It doesn't project danger or fortune. It doesn't do anything. It's just what's here. And in that there is, well, neither insecurity nor security. The issue doesn't come up. But when I do ask people, or ask myself, the answer is no. There's no insecurity. No fear of death. Well, if one starts imagining, maybe it will. But if one doesn't start imagining it, one doesn't know what death is and what dying is. One doesn't know what the future is. And this not knowing is not a denial. It's a fact. We don't know what dying is. That's what dying is, not knowing. So when this is seen clearly, again and again, freshly, is there an abating of the drive for security, and therefore an increasing sense of security, because we're not constantly looking for it, thinking about it, worrying about it, imagining it. Also, an increasing sense that it is entirely possible to meet this moment as it is. As it is. I may not be happy or joyful, but meeting it is no problem, needs to be no problem. Meeting it not with denial or resistance or making something out of it in the imagination, but as it is. When that happens, does that give a sense of security? That it's possible to meet this moment completely, whatever it may be, because it's there, and the imagination doesn't push it away. It doesn't drown it out through thinking about the future or the past. So whether it's pain or fear, anger coming up, jealousy, whatever, can't it be met as it is, in a simple way, without imagination? Just, what is it? And then, there it is. All of that is what I am. Not me separate, having to meet that. Car is what I am. I'm putting it very carefully, not to make a rigid formulation out of this. It's so experientially, because not a separate listener of car. It's just car. And the sound of movements of bodies, swallowing, breathing, air, light, some sunshine trickling in. Is that outside of me? That when I feel that way, then there is belief that there is a separate me. But in just listening, feeling, touching, seeing, hearing, openly, what separates one thing from another when thought doesn't do it? It's just there, everything's there, and thought is there too. Like one person said, it's quite amazing, but I don't seem to worry so much anymore about getting stuck in thought or how I'm doing with it, whether I'm doing well or not. Meaning, it just is going on, like sun and shade, rain and wind, thoughts and fewer thoughts. Thoughts about me, thoughts about the earth, and a moment of no thoughts. It's all what's going on. Why say it's good or bad? Why worry about it? That establishes and reinforces this separation. If it happens, can it be seen for what it is and does? Simply, and let go, not make a big thing out of it. There's this new moment of being. Being what? Everything. Nothing. I don't know. We will end here for today.